Hello students, so we'll be starting with a new chapter, that is transport in plants. So transport in plants, it's a plant physiology chapter where I'm going to start with plant physiology now. You know that plants are very much needed for all of us and all the organisms because that is the main source of food, because they photosynthesize and also they provide oxygen for all the living organism. So in this chapter what we'll be studying is what is transported in plants, how it is done, all these things we'll be studying in this chapter. So first of all, we need to understand what things are to be transported in plants. So see here, plants, like they are also living organism, they also should survive. So what all they require for their survival, everything need to be transported. In human beings and other animals, if you see, we have circulatory system, right? So circulatory system will circulate everything, whichever the body require or the part of the body require. But what about in plants? They do not have any circulatory system, no circulatory system in them. Then how the things are getting transported? That we are going to study in this chapter. First of all, the question arises, what needs to be transported? So the first question arises is, what needs to be transported in plants? So let us see. First of all, plants require water, right? You know that they require water for the photosynthesis process. So water needs to be transported. And they also require minerals. So minerals should be transported for the sake of photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide. Again, for photosynthesis they require carbon dioxide. So many different minerals and carbon dioxide should be transported. Also photosynthetes. After the process of photosynthesis, whatever the product is formed, that needs to be transported to every cell of the plant. Finally, it also have some growth regulators. So what are these growth regulators? We call them hormones. So even like how we people have hormones, even plants do have hormones. So which is required for the development of the plant. So even hormones are to be transported. So many things are there, and along with this we have some organic nutrients which come under photosynthetics. You can remember these as organic nutrients. What about this? They are mineral nutrients, and these are photosynthetics are also called as organic nutrients. So these are the things which need to be transported in plants. Various gases, various minerals. So this is simple most things what plants require for the sake of photosynthesis. So these things should be transported. Okay, so now you have understood, see what all things have to be transported in plants. Now we need to understand how these things are transported. What is the means of transport, like what is the mean, how it is going to transport in plants. So see here, we have different methods for transport. We have two types of transports, wherein we have a short distance travel and we have long distance travel. So what do you understand by these things? Short distance travel and long distance travel. See here, now let us consider a plant. For example, if you consider this as a plant, okay, now it is close, the roots are here, it is close to the soil, and you know that water is present in the soil. Now this water, it has to enter the root. It will enter the root with the help of root hair. So this roots will have root hair, and through this root hair what will happen? The water will enter the root. Now but this water has to be transported to the top of the plant as it is growing. As it is growing, it needs to be transported to the top of the plant. Now do you think it is so easy to transport water very fast to the top of the plant? It's not possible. So initially what happens is, water is taken up by the root hair, and that root hair, root hair is present above the epidermis. So then that water, it will enter epidermal cell. Likewise, slowly, cell by cell, the things will move initially. So that is done by short distance. So two types of distances we have, wherein some things which are to be transported initially, those things are initially transported by short distance, like for a very short distance. So which are the means by which short distance travel can be accomplished? That is important. There are three methods through which short distance travel can happen. So for short distance travel, or you can say transport, we have three important methods as I told you. First thing is called diffusion. The first process is diffusion, and the other process is cytoplasmic streaming. Cytoplasmic streaming. And the third process is active transport. Active transport. So as I told you, initially when the things are entering into the cell and they're moving cell by cell, it has to be done through these three methods. So one by one we'll be studying it. What is diffusion, what is cytoplasmic streaming, what is active transport. And before that we'll understand for long distance transport. So as I told you, short distance cell by cell the things are moving. But in long distance what actually happens is it has to move from the root to the top of the tree or top of the plant. So that time slowly if it is moving, then it takes long time to reach the top. So it has to be done in a very fast sense, right? So that time these three methods cannot help because these are helping only for short distance travel. So here what actually is done is there are pipe systems, you can say. Pipe system in the sense we have vascular tissues which can do this long distance travel. See, this long distance travel we also call it as translocation. We also call it as translocation. And this translocation happens easily with the help of vascular tissues. It is done with the help of vascular tissues. So which are those vascular tissues? You have been learning it from since childhood, right? Vascular tissues there are two types of vascular tissues. One is xylem and the other one is phloem. So xylem helps in the transport of water and phloem helps in the transport of food. That is in the form of sucrose. Actually food in plant is glucose. It is transported in the form of sucrose. That we'll be studying later on. But xylem and phloem, these are the two vascular tissues which help in long distance travel. For short distance we have three types, that is diffusion, cytoplasmic streaming and active transport. For long distance we have two methods, like not methods you can say, or two tissues which are actually helping in long distance, that is xylem and phloem. Xylem helps in transportation of water and minerals, not only water, some minerals also, right? And phloem helps in food, that is organic nutrients and other things move into phloem. And long distance easily it can accomplish with the help of xylem and phloem, and this is a short distance travel. So one by one we'll be seeing it in detail. So we have understood which are the things which are transported. These are the things and then now what we will see is the direction of transport. There is one important thing to understand here. Direction of transport. See here. Whenever the things are transported in plants, okay, there is one thing to understand here about direction. So usually when we talk about xylem, you know that xylem is a tissue, is a vascular tissue which helps in the transport of water and minerals, right? Water and minerals. And phloem, when you talk about phloem, it is a vascular tissue which actually helps in movement of organic nutrients, right? And when you talk about hormones, sometimes it can travel through xylem also, sometimes it can travel through phloem also. We do not strictly say that hormones are traveling by xylem or by phloem. It can take both the pathways for its movement, okay? So but strictly when we talk about water, xylem actually carries water, phloem does not. Phloem carries organic nutrients. But here we are discussing about direction. Now see, whenever you consider a plant, you know that roots are below the surface of the ground and plant initially, the shoot of the plant remains on the top. We people know this very well, right? So here, what needs to be studied about direction is that, see here, water is usually present in the soil. Even though we pour water on the plant or wherever you pour water, initially water comes to the soil and then roots are the ones which are going to pull the water to the plant. So water enters always from the soil, that is through roots, to the stem and the aerial part of the plant. So this water usually moves from root hair to the epidermis, cortex and then xylem, and then through xylem it is taken up. So this direction when we see, usually water always moves from this soil to the part of the plant towards upper part of the plant. So this is a unidirection process. Never you will find that water is taken from the leaf and it is given to the root. It's not possible, right? So water always tends to move from root to the upper part of the plant. So the direction is unidirection, from down to upwards. This is called unidirectional method or unidirection process. So always we'd say that whenever we talk about xylem, whatever things are moving in xylem, they always have a unidirection process. So usually water and minerals, when we talk about, they have unidirection from soil to the upper part of the plant. But now when we talk about phloem, here we cannot say it is unidirection. Here we told that xylem, that is water and minerals, can take unidirection way. Transport can be done in a unidirection way. But here in phloem, organic nutrients are not transported in yes, it is done in unidirection, but not strictly unidirection. We say that whatever organic nutrients are transported, it can be multi-directional. Now why we say multi-directional? So you people may think that food is prepared in the leaves. Food is prepared in the leaves. And from leaf, actually, it needs to go to the root and other parts of the plant. So even this is unidirection, no? From top to the bottom. Even this is unidirection. It looks like unidirection. Yes, it is right. But actually what happens in the case of phloem, that is in case of organic nutrients, think about it. Plants usually undergo process called photosynthesis and they produce glucose. Okay, whatever amount of glucose is required, it will use. And what is the amount of glucose which is remaining? Plant will not use it. Instead, what it will do, again madutte andre plant, it will store it in its root, right? Not only root, it will store it in its fruits. It will store it in its stem. Modified stem, we have modified root for the sake of storage of food. So when plant have excess of food produced already, what it will do, instead of using everything, it will store it. So when it is storing, obviously it will store in this direction. It may store it in the root here, or it may store it in the fruit here, right? Or in the modified stem or anything. Okay, so this can be done in unidirectional process. But when the plant is deprived of food, yavaga plant food na produce madak agalvo, in such a season, there are some seasons where plants stop producing food. I mean, leaves ella udrogutte, right? Leaves ella shed agirutte. That time, initially plant in a new season, it wants food. That time, leaves are not there for photosynthesis. Avag ಏನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ ಅಂದರೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಈ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ಡ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಸ್ಟೋರ್ ಮಾಡಿರುತ್ತೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿಂದ ವಾಪಸ್ ಅದನ್ನು ತಗೊಳುತ್ತೆ. That means sometimes from root food is transported to the upper part of the plant. So initially ಏನಾಗಿತ್ತು, leaf ಇಂದ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಬಂದಿತ್ತು. This is unidirection. But water ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಗೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, xylem ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹಂಗೆ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. Only one direction it is. But in case of phloem, when we talk about, it is not unidirection. It can be multidirection. Depends on the plant. If it is storing its food in root, obviously one or the other day, the food from the root has to be given to the other part of the plant. So here, when we talk about phloem, organic nutrients cannot be strictly unidirection. It can be the other direction as well. So here we have two different directions in which organic nutrients are moving. So we say that it is multi-direction. I hope it is clear now why it is multi-direction. This is one reason. So based on seasons, based on storage of food, it becomes multi-direction in process. Now there is one more reason why mineral nutrients are also multi-direction. We are talking about minerals, right? So we have mineral nutrients. Okay, even those mineral nutrients can be multi-direction. How and why? So see here, one thing I would like to tell you about this multi-direction process. Now let us consider this is a leaf which is an older leaf, and now there is a new leaf which is growing in this plant. It's a very tender leaf which is growing now initially. Okay, now mineral nutrients, usually all the older leaves will have taken all the mineral nutrients sufficiently. They have all the mineral nutrients. Now whenever this younger leaves are growing, and by chance if this older leaf tends to die, it means it is going to die now. That means senescent leaves, we call it as senescent leaves. Senescence bantu andre ad biddogo paristhiti bandaga, this older leaf will not just fall down with all the nutrients. Instead, it will give its nutrients to its younger generation. I hope you understood, like how we people do that. So older people will give whatever they have to the younger generation, right? It comes to them. In the same way, these leaves also, older leaves, before their death, before they could fall down, what they do, they transport all their minerals to the younger generation. Andre we call it as, again, mobilized anta karitivi, remobilized anta karitivi. Already minerals root inda bandittu leaf ige, but now from leaf again it is moving to wherever it is required, right? So it cannot be called as again unidirection. Root in the male hogidre one direction ididre, we could have called it as one direction. But now again from leaf, it is from older leaves, it is moving to the younger part of the plant. So again there is a different direction here. So mineral nutrients, again as I told you, we call them multi-direction. Why they are multi-direction? Because they can be remobilized. They can be remobilized from older leaves to younger leaves. That is why it is also called as multi-direction. Understood? And for hormones, we use some terms like it can be unidirection or it can be strictly polarized way. Okay, it depends. It can be unidirection also, it can be multi also. But here when we talk about xylem and phloem, in xylem, water is actually unidirection. Rest all things, it can go for with uni as well as multi. I hope direction of transport is clear.